In the tall golden grasses of the East African savanna, a small band of Homo sapiens moved with quiet confidence, their footsteps soft against the earth. These early humans were not just wanderers, they were survivors, intimately connected to the land that cradled their existence. Each day, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in hues of orange and red, they journeyed together, guided by instinct and the wisdom of generations before them. Their world was alive with sound and color, the grunt of a hippo echoing across the water, the sharp scent of acacia blossoms carried on the breeze, the sun warming their skin as they moved through the landscape. Birds called overhead, and the distant roar of lions reminded them of the ever-present balance between beauty and danger. Every sense was heightened, every moment a lesson in survival. These were hunters, gatherers, and storytellers, deeply attuned to the rhythms of nature. Around the fire they shared tales of the hunt, of close escapes and clever discoveries, weaving a tapestry of memory that bound the group together. Their stories were more than entertainment. They were a living archive, a way to pass on knowledge and warn of dangers yet unseen. Every rock, tree, and river bend held meaning, a living map of memory and survival. Landmarks were not just scenery, they were signposts, guiding the group to water, shelter, and safety. The landscape itself was a silent teacher, shaping their movements and decisions. Children learned to track the faintest footprints in the dust, to listen for the subtle rustle of prey in the grass. Elders passed down wisdom through patient instruction and demonstration, teaching the young how to find edible roots, craft tools from stone, and read the moods of the sky. Life was a complex dance of opportunity and danger, where every lesson could mean the difference between life and death. They watched the great herds migrate across the plains, following the rhythms of the seasons. At night, under a sky ablaze with stars, they read the constellations, using the heavens as a map to guide their journeys. Their tools, chipped from stone and bone, evolved with their needs, adapting to the challenges of a world in constant flux. But the climate was shifting. Lakes that once teemed with life began to shrink, their waters receding and leaving behind cracked earth. The savannas spread wider, grasslands replacing forests, and the patterns of life that had endured for millennia began to unravel. The animals they depended on grew scarcer, and the familiar routes became more perilous. The land that had sustained them for countless generations was transforming before their eyes. Trees withered, rivers dried, and uncertainty crept into their daily lives. The old ways no longer guaranteed survival, and the need to adapt became more urgent with each passing season. For the first time, the idea of leaving, of venturing beyond the familiar mountains and across the great water, became a real possibility. The elders spoke of distant lands, of places where the rain still fell and the herds still roamed. The decision to move was not taken lightly, but the promise of a better life called to them. What lay beyond the horizon? The question echoed in their minds, a call to something more. The unknown was both terrifying and exhilarating, a chance to find new hope or face new dangers. Yet the urge to explore, to seek out what lay beyond the edge of their world, was awakening within them. The future was unknown, but the urge to explore was awakening. With each step into the unknown, they carried the hopes of their ancestors and the dreams of generations yet to come. Their journey would not just change their own lives, but would set in motion a story that would echo across continents and millennia. Africa was the cradle of humanity, the birthplace of our species, but change was coming. The land that had nurtured them was now urging them onward, pushing them to adapt, to innovate, and to seek new horizons. And with it, the first whispers of a journey that would shape the destiny of our species. These first steps into the unknown marked the beginning of a migration that would eventually carry humans to every corner of the globe, forever altering the course of history. The decision to leave Africa was monumental, a leap into the unknown. Around flickering campfires, our ancestors faced a choice that would shape the destiny of all humankind. The air was thick with uncertainty, as families weighed the risks and rewards of venturing beyond everything they had ever known. For countless generations, this land was more than just a place to live. It was home, filled with the graves of ancestors and sacred grounds that held the stories of their people. Every stone and tree was woven with memories, traditions, and the comfort of the familiar. But the world was changing. Droughts grew longer, the rivers shrank, and the once abundant herds became harder to find. Resources grew scarcer and competition with neighboring groups became fiercer, turning survival into a daily struggle. Staying meant facing decline, hunger, and the slow erosion of their way of life, yet leaving meant risking everything, facing unknown dangers, strange lands, and the possibility of never returning. Our ancestors were driven not only by the need to survive, but also by a spark of curiosity and imagination. They wondered what lay beyond the horizon, what new lands and opportunities might await. They watched birds migrate across the sky, found seashells far from the sea, and observed animals traveling to distant places. These signs whispered of worlds beyond their own, fueling dreams of discovery and hope. The dilemma was stark: remain in a changing homeland, clinging to the past, or embrace the peril and promise of the unknown. Some hesitated, torn by fear and loyalty, while others felt the pull of adventure and possibility. For one brave group, the call of the horizon was stronger than the comfort of home. With determination in their hearts, they gathered their belongings and set out at dawn, leaving behind everything familiar. Their courage and resolve set humanity on a new path, forging ahead into lands unknown, guided by hope and necessity. This was not just an escape from hardship, it was the pursuit of possibility, a bold step toward a future that no one could yet imagine. The choice to go would change the world forever, opening new chapters in the human story and shaping the course of history. The journey was about to begin, a journey that would echo through the ages as the first footsteps toward a wider world. For decades, scientists believed our ancestors simply walked out of Africa. The northern route, through the Nile Valley and Sinai, was seen as the main path, supported by archaeological finds. Early humans were thought to hug coastlines, moving slowly, generation by generation, following the resources. This long walk theory painted our ancestors as cautious, pragmatic, and risk-averse. But questions lingered. How did humans reach Australia so early, when it was never connected by land? The slow, land-based model couldn't explain all the evidence. The idea of sea crossings was dismissed as too advanced for the time. Yet discoveries far from Africa hinted at a bolder story. The old theory underestimated our ancestors' ingenuity. A new chapter was about to unfold. In 2024, a groundbreaking study rewrote the story of human migration. Researchers proposed that 50,000 years ago, some Homo sapiens built rafts and sailed across the Red Sea's Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Lower sea levels made the crossing shorter, but it was still a daring leap. Archaeologists, geneticists, and climate scientists pieced together evidence from both sides of the strait. The raft theory revealed planning, cooperation, and innovation far beyond what was once believed. Our ancestors weren't just walkers, they were sailors too. This southern route didn't replace old theories but added a thrilling new dimension. The spirit of exploration was alive from the very beginning. What supports this bold claim of a prehistoric sea crossing? Archaeologists found stone tools in Yemeni caves, identical to those in East Africa from the same era. Ancient pollen and animal remains revealed a lush, resource-rich Arabian coast. A green corridor, not a desert. The promise of abundance beckoned from across the water. Genetic studies traced a rapid migration from the Horn of Africa, not along the northern land route, but directly across the sea. Multiple lines of evidence, tools, climate, DNA, converged on the same story. Our ancestors saw water not as a barrier, but as a highway. The raft discovery redefined what it meant to be human. Imagine the ancient African shore, thousands of years ago. Here, early humans gathered, their hands skillfully weaving rafts from reeds and logs. Each vessel was crafted with care and hope, destined for a journey into the vast unknown. The air was thick with anticipation as families prepared to leave behind the only world they had ever known. Families worked together, gathering tools, food, and precious supplies. Every item was chosen with purpose: stone blades, dried meat, water skins. Children watched with wide eyes as elders packed bundles, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and hope for what lay ahead. The crossing itself was perilous. Powerful currents, unpredictable winds, and lurking predators threatened them at every turn. The sea was a living force, tossing their fragile rafts and testing their resolve with every wave. Waves crashed over the travelers, soaking them to the bone. By day, the relentless sun scorched their skin. By night, the cold bit deep, leaving them shivering beneath a blanket of stars. Every moment was a struggle to endure. Navigation was simple, yet daunting. The distant Arabian coast was their beacon, and the sun their only guide. With no maps or compasses, they relied on instinct and the wisdom passed down through generations. Every person had a vital role, paddling, steering, bailing water, sharing what little they had. Cooperation was not just helpful, it was essential for survival. Only by working together could they hope to reach the far shore. This was no passive drift. It was a coordinated, determined effort, with each stroke of the paddle bringing them closer to a new world. Their determination was written on their faces, and their unity gave them strength. At last, land appeared on the horizon. The moment their feet touched the new shore, relief and triumph washed over them. Families embraced, some weeping with joy, knowing they had survived the impossible. They had crossed the great water and won. Their journey was more than survival. It was a victory of spirit and willpower, a moment of celebration for all who made it. This act of courage opened a gateway to the rest of the planet. The Red Sea crossing was not just a migration, but the first step in humanity's spread across the globe. These were pioneers, not just migrants. Their courage and vision set them apart, forging a path for countless generations to follow. On the new shore, they built shelters and explored the unfamiliar land. Their ingenuity and teamwork laid the foundation for future exploration and survival in unknown worlds. The bonds of community made the impossible possible. Through shared hardship, they became stronger, united by a common purpose and hope for a better future. The journey across the Red Sea was a testament to the human spirit, our ability to dream, to endure, and to reach for new horizons. It was the beginning of a story that continues to this day. Building those first rafts was a feat of engineering and imagination. Our ancestors knew which woods floated, which vines held strong, and how to shape tools for the task. It took teamwork, planning, and leadership. No one could do it alone. They calculated supplies, weight, and risk, showing abstract thinking and foresight. The raft discovery shatters the myth of primitive minds. These were people as creative and analytical as we are today. They didn't just adapt, they shaped their destiny. The skills they honed, problem-solving, cooperation, ambition, became the foundation for all human innovation. From rafts to rockets, the same spirit endures. The first sailors launched the human journey of global expansion. Their ingenuity is our inheritance. The spirit of that first sea crossing lives on in us. It's the same drive that sent Polynesians across the Pacific and explorers across the globe. Today we look to Mars and distant stars, fueled by the same curiosity. The technology has changed, but the motivation is unchanged. Exploration is a deeply human adventure, not just a technical pursuit. Every scientist and explorer is a descendant of those raft builders. The Red Sea crossing reminds us, exploration is our birthright. The journey continues wherever it may lead. Learning our ancestors were sailors, not just walkers, transforms our sense of self. From the beginning, we've been innovators and risk-takers. Their journey is our shared origin, uniting all people in a single story. Before nations or borders, there was a small group with a big idea, to see what lay beyond. Their courage is the reason we're here, in all our diversity. The lesson endures. Together, with ingenuity and boldness, we can overcome any challenge. The journey out of Africa is a story of hope and resilience. Our ancestors gave us more than genes, they gave us curiosity and courage. As we face our own unknowns, we draw strength from their example. The journey is never over. New horizons always await. The spirit of that first voyage guides us still.